genre.
Hello and welcome back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we will be discussing Amy's Choice, the 11th Doctor's sixth story. And this particular one is, it was just basically written to sort of bring down the budget of the fifth series, or I guess use the most of the season's budget that they had. It was meant to really use the most of the TARDIS set, which was a beautiful, gorgeous set.
I miss that set.
I know, so do I. That's what I was thinking while I was watching. I was like, oh dear God. What a beautiful set. Just such a nice TARDIS. So, they were just trying to sort of pinch some pennies and do a semi-bottle episode to save on production costs and that sort of thing. And they wanted to do an episode. The writer of this story, Simon Nye, had written all kinds of British television and things like that, but he's most well known for creating the television series Men Behaving Badly, which was a book, a novel in 1989 that he had written, and then he created the BBC version adaptation of Men Behaving Badly into a sitcom, and then that sitcom was then adapted into an American sitcom. I think it was a CBS show or something like that, Men Behaving Badly. But that's what he's most known for. And I also discovered that it was producer Beryl Virtue who told Nye that he should adapt Men Behaving Badly, his novel, into a television sitcom, and then Nye would eventually meet Stephen Moffat through Beryl Virtue, because Stephen Moffat would become her son-in-law, marrying her daughter Sue Virtue.
Hey.
So that's an interesting connection there. So he wrote this script, and Moffat sort of had the season really well formed. He knew that Rory was going to die in the next story, the Silurian two-parter, and so he wanted to have a story that really established that Amy loved Rory, not the Doctor, and sort of put an end to the quote-unquote love triangle that had been going on this season. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted to create a story where there was no doubt, absolutely no doubt whatsoever, that Amy and Rory were the OTP, but just in time for Rory to get iced in the next episode.
Back when that was barely a phrase, if at all.
No,
right.
that's been around forever, dude.
Has it?
Yeah. Because it's been around since Mulder and Scully, right?
Yeah.
And
Was
even
it
probably before that, but
Kirk and Spock?
maybe.
I don't know. I don't know the origin, but I know it's been around a while.
Yeah.
Because I think it started, didn't fanfic start with Kirk and Spock?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there was what if, I don't know, characters from David Copperfield hooked up.
So this story, which was originally called The Dream Lord, was part of the production block with the Lodger. So that was sort of the production block with this one. Those two stories back to back. So that was good. And they eventually renamed it Amy's Choice so that it would echo the title of Sophie's Choice, the 1979 novel, and eventually film adaptation starring Meryl Streep.
Sure, cool.
Yeah, great.
Cool reference.
Yeah, because she has to choose between her two boys.
Yeah, that's the same as what that woman did.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Wow. What an episode.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first thing that I want to talk about, is there has been a long-standing, I guess, issue, problem, something that people have with Moffat as a writer in Moffat's era on the show, which is him constantly making fun of women's physical appearance, in like having the Doctor do that a lot. And I'll be totally honest, I accepted what everyone was saying as true, but I never noticed. And then I'm watching this episode and I was like, oh, is this what they're talking about? Because it's just the Doctor, having Amy call herself a boat and having the Doctor be like, wow, you're so big. You're round. You're like a spaceship. You're so large. Why are you're so big? Just constantly talking about her pregnant belly. And I was just wondering, like, I guess, is that what they're talking about? Is like this? Cause I don't know, like personally, I've always read like those sorts of things, as like the Doctor being uncomfortable with human biology. I don't know, like just I always took it as like innocence or ignorance of just like, I don't know what this is, but it makes me uncomfortable. Like, cause for whatever reason, I just like imagine, like the 11th Doctor being like, oh, you're pregnant, which means that you two did the, and like just getting like uncomfortable thinking about that, cause he's just like, he just strikes me as so devoutly asexual. The 11th Doctor. So I don't know. That's how I always read it, but apparently others read it differently. Maybe, I don't know. I'm curious what you think, Cass.
I don't remember. I mean, I definitely remember someone referring to Amy as the legs. And I think like that's what, like, I'm fine with like I don't know. I don't know if I'm fine with the pregnancy thing, but it's like a very obvious, like, I haven't seen you in 5 years. Oh my God, you're making a human. Like, kind of thing, as far as like commenting on Amy's everyday appearance, which is a little more problematic.
Yeah, the legs was like his, he was like giving everyone a Secret Service nickname because it was when they were hanging out in the White House.
Yeah.
It was the same. It was legs, the nose, and I forget Rivers.
Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson. Right. Yeah.
which is its own little bag to unpack.
Yep.
Yeah. But again, though, it is more about the Doctor than her, I think. It's him being like, I'm so young now. Look at how young I am. But I'm so young, I'm going to call you Mrs. Robinson. Instead of the reality of this situation, which is that I'm like 900 years older than you.
Yeah. And I've been hanging out with your folks.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with your mom and dad. Anyway. Yeah, so
thanks,
it's just
Moffat.
something I noticed that I remember people saying all the time, and I'd never picked up on it. And so noticing it here, I was like, oh, is this it? Is this the thing?
I think that this isn't an isolated incident. Like, it happens multiple times throughout Stephen Moffat's tenure.
Yeah, it's something I'm definitely trying to be more mindful of on this, I guess more critical of this watch through, because it was not something that I noticed before, but it seemed to like really bother people to the point where they like quit the show. So I want to be mindful of it this time.
It'll be very interesting to, because this is still so early into both Eleven's tenure and, Smith's tenure and Moffat's tenure. It'll be very interesting to see what ages well and what ages not so well going further into his run, which, as we all know, would get a little bit more pronounced, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to a point where, like, I could easily. I mean, we've done it multiple times, just like, improv, like a parody of a Moffat episode. We do it all the time. Sure. You did it on the last episode, Nick. You were just like, why are we afraid to look behind us? What if it's because there's something there?
Yeah. And then we have to go to the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. There are such weird moments during the Moffat run of like, hey, look at those, hey, look at her walking over here. Look, like these kind of they kind of do stick out like a sore thumb now.
Yeah. So I will say this about this story. This has always been one of my favorite episodes of Series 5. And the thing that I noticed watching it this time is it feels very padded in a way that, like, I really like the sort of philosophical question of, like, which dream is real. Like, I do like that, but it's a 45-minute episode, and we're just going back and forth, and it doesn't really feel like we're accomplishing anything. And then you have the whole thing with the old people, and, like, why is that even there? Like, why is that necessary? The old people thing. So, like, I found that I didn't love it this time. I thought it was fine. But I kind of wished it was almost smaller than it is. Like, I like the TARDIS stuff, and I like the idea, the concept of, like, going back and forth between the two dreams. But it felt like the argument they were trying to pose, I guess, or the question they were trying to pose about Amy making a choice between these two boys about her future, was interesting enough, but you didn't need all of this extra fluff in here with the old people being aliens, but not like really aliens because it's not real, because it's a dream. And it made everything feel kind of pointless, which is tricky with dream stuff, Mm-hmm. And so I feel like if they had just made it simpler and made it really just about the sort of philosophical argument that they're that they're posing in this story, I feel like it would have been a much better episode as a result. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
But then how would you get her to make the choice that she does at the end? Like, how would you like spend 45 minutes on this, like, very personal, like, do I run away with, like, my childhood crush, or do I, like, actually grow up and get married kind of thing?
Right. I don't know.
It is, and Scott is speaking on something that I think comes into play a lot during the Moffat run of the show, whether the episode is written by him or not, where, like, there seems to be a few episodes in different contexts, which is even more interesting. It's not like the Dream Lord ever comes back, but, like, where half of the episode or 40% of the episode is revealed to be not real and of very little consequence. Whether it's Santa, whether it's old people with eyeballs in their mouths, and it's like they'll introduce such strong or interesting concepts, which is like, what if the aliens are replacing, but then it's quickly revealed, oh no, it's an afterthought. None of it actually mattered. And to me, what kind of found this episode narratively inert to me on this run was I don't know, like, and it's impossible to go back in time and forget that what the game is, but like, yeah, like I found myself every time they went back to the village, I was like, why? Like, why are we here? Like, what are we learning? And
right.
And I do love how much this episode is focused on Amy and who she is in relation to Rory, why is she doing, what is she running from? And I thought that was all interesting, and I think Karen Gillan's really good in this episode. But I do think I agree with Scott in that some of it did feel like padding to me as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you could change. I will say, in almost a Russell T. Deus Ex thing, the reveal that it was like space pollen, and that the Dream Lord was the Doctor. What a bummer! I love the Toby Jones in this is so freaking good. Just absurdly awesome. I was so looking forward to the Doctor having a Mixlick Pitlick character, this all powerful sort of character who just shows up, causes mischief, and then goes about his business. I was so looking forward to that, and that Toby Jones was going to play that character on Doctor Who. That's so fun and interesting. And then it just nope, space pollen. We'll never see that guy again because he didn't really exist. And I'm just man,
Yeah, I don't think I agree about the fluff stuff that you guys were talking about, but I do agree with that. And ever since I found out who the Valyard is, I'm just dude, what a frickin' waste. Bring Toby Jones back as the frickin' Valyard.
Yeah.
Because he's so good.
He is.
And definitely in a character that really could have been played, has a very kind of rote way that it could have been played. And but with Toby Jones, it is so memorable, even though he doesn't really do a lot in this episode.
Yeah. He reminds me of those Superman cartoon episodes with Mixel Pitlick. He just shows up. I love that he quotes Jackie Tyler when he's just you and me alone on the TARDIS. Anything could happen. I love that. And she just doesn't even react to him. And then he's just all right. And he just gets, he turns back into something with his clothes on.
I will say though, I did as much as I do want more Toby Jones in my life always. And as much as I did enjoy the Dream Lord, and every time I watch this episode, I'm God, this would have been a cool dude to see come back. I actually really enjoy watching this episode again, or going through these moments in my head, thinking of it as the Doctor talking to himself, and this just really being the Doctor letting all of his self-loathing out, and it's fascinating to see what he is critical of. Because everything that the Dream Lord says about the Doctor in a negative, hateful way, it's really the Doctor talking to himself.
Right.
And when you look at it that way,
in a weird way, Toby Jones is almost playing the 12th Doctor.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of moments in this where he calls out the 11th Doctor on stuff that is going to be paid off in his next regeneration.
Yeah. Which is you don't care about the people that you put in harm's way. This is a game to you. You think you're better than everyone. You're afraid. Right. I know how afraid you are. In retrospect,
And the bit where he's in the back of the car and he's just oh, the old man likes hanging out with the young people, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was really especially strong to me when you think of, I think of 11 being a very almost going into 6 territory of I'm the smartest boy in the whole wide world. And so to find out that this character does have all of this conflict and self-hate inside of him makes him, I don't know, it made 11 more interesting to me this time.
I know thematically the reason why it's, Amy pregnant and married with with Rory in the village. I get what they're trying to say, but I almost wish that it was 2 separate TARDIS situations. The 2 dreams were both set on the TARDIS, but in different dire situations, One, it would be cheaper to make for sure. And 2, it just would have been, I don't know, more interesting. And you could have had Rory sacrifice himself to save them in one of them. And then that forces her to like, all right, let's drive this thing into the sun because I want to be in the other one.
I don't know. I kind of like, because I always forget the payoff to this is that they're both dream scenarios. And I like the dichotomy because like these two dream scenarios are like the embodiment of what she's basically choosing. Like they're like the village is Rory and the TARDIS is the Doctor, and they're like, oh wow, there's a cool cold sun, and isn't this nifty? There's like weird old people aliens, but like I don't know. I really like this episode.
Yeah, and you know, and speaking, and I guess on the edge of playing to the other side of like the village world, you know, the Russell T Davies era was so unique because of his fixation on like the common man. Mm-hmm. Like how do these big crazy sci-fi concepts affect like blue collar working people? And you know, I talk about how admirable that is, even though sometimes the episodes themselves are a little too campy or on the nose. I actually thought a lot of the moments in the village where it was like palpable how bored Amy was and like how blissfully unaware Rory was about how boring life was. I found that to be kind of like, oh, this is fun. I think this is almost kind of a more nuanced way of Doctor Who putting a lens on real life than Russell T Davies was doing. It was more like subdued. Yeah.
I almost feel like though, you know, I think it might have been better if she wasn't pregnant. It does bother me that she's pregnant. Because like, I don't know why. Like, I don't know what the payoff of that is in the story.
Yeah.
Sure, other than like adding weight, no pun intended, to the like, well, this has to be real because I'm feeling that I'm pregnant and I'm having pregnant problems.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But you're right. It doesn't really add to Amy. Amy doesn't really have a relationship with the pregnancy other than like the sitcom-y bits.
Right.
I think that too is like taking agency away from Amy, like as far as her body and her like reproductive rights go, is a theme in Moffat's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not okay with that, but like you can see the root of that here, which is interesting.
Gosh, you're right. It kind of all starts here. And if you had asked, you know, 2010 me, geez, like how much Amy's, you know, pregnancy or body was going to come into play. Yeah, that actually is a really, it's weird now looking back.
Yeah.
Other thing I noticed in this story, Matt Smith is just going full weird Troughton energy in this episode.
It's so good.
It's so good. Like, do you, now that you've seen a lot of Troughton, do you kind of feel that Troughton energy now with Matt Smith, Nick?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have seen a lot of Troughton.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, definitely like, the intensity, the sort of always, you can always see, the great thing about Matt Smith is you can always see the gears moving around in his head.
There's that bit where they're all sitting on the bench and he's just like very uncomfortable. And I was just like, man, you could literally just wholesale pluck Matt Smith out of that scene and drop Patrick Troughton in it, and you wouldn't miss a beat. It would play exactly the same.
This is a terrific, I think, 11 episode.
Yeah, it's good performance from him.
Oh, he's just good this whole season.
I don't remember noticing that they used both his A outfit and his B outfit in both of the dream scenarios. I thought that was a really cool touch. I was just like, blue bow tie, red bow tie.
Yeah, he keeps checking his suspenders to see which dream he's in. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you know, we were talking a few days ago about, you know, how 10 is so 10 in Age of Steel and Rise of the Cybermen with his like owning the room, walking around, monologuing. And yeah, when I think of 11, he is like finicky. He is like rearranging himself and making sure that his tie is right, or like not being able to sit down comfortably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because he's kind of like he's like a little kid trapped in a man's body.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like when he's all woozy running in the middle of the street and he looks like he's about to pass out, that's like Matt Smith for me. I don't know why, but it's just just like flaily, fumbly 11.
Yeah. And it's such a good lead up because you get that like Amy being like, no, of course the Doctor will always be in control. He knows exactly what he's doing. And then Amy's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. I also love the beat where I guess like technically it's probably, I don't know, weight shaming, pregnancy shaming a moment, I guess. But like that from a certain perspective, but that moment where Rory is like dragging unconscious Amy up the stairs and apologizing with each step. He's just like, sorry, thunk, I'm so sorry.
and you know, in an arc where we have just done 3, you know, male, you know, spare tire companions in a row.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
It's been really interesting to me to see how the different ways that the show treat Big Head McGee and then Mickey and Rory, and how these 3 men deal with not being the hero of this story that they find themselves in, and like how okay they are with that, you know? And it's funny how as we get further along, we sort of see Rory, this guy who is very comfortable. Well, no, not entirely comfortable, learning to be more comfortable with like not being like the big guy in the room. Like, oh, this doctor who really likes me. Does she really like me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really like the difference. Like Adam had no interest in being part of the team. He wanted the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, so he's very self-centered, Adam.
Yeah.
And then you have, you've got Mickey, who wants nothing more than to be a part of the team and earn his place on the team, but realizing that the team doesn't want it to have him as a member.
Yeah.
It's not a team. It's
yeah, they don't, they're like, we don't want to really hang out with you. You just invited yourself and whatever.
We want to make out.
So, yeah. And so he, so he just goes and he figures out his own thing. It's, you know, it's so funny that, you know, the episode in which the Rose and Ten are at their absolutely most insufferable is the episode right after Mickey leaves.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone.
Finally, we can just be the worst. Yeah. And then Rory, who is like, just sort of like trying to figure out where he fits in this and like where he fits in Amy's life and how the Doctor fits in their life. And he's just trying to navigate it.
Yeah.
You know,
he would almost rather Amy not be on the team. Where he's like, what's wrong with this? Why do you have to go off and do this?
Right.
Like, yeah. What's wrong with my team? In a way, his arc in this, especially in this first season, is really about like him saying, like, doing the either or, like, why can't we just do the thing that we always do? And she's like, because I have other things I want to do. And it's really about like him as a man sort of realizing that she's not there just for his dreams. He also needs to be available for hers.
Like, oh, this person has a whole other life she wants to live.
Yeah. And I need to be open to that if I'm going to be a good husband, because we need to be partners in this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. So Rory's good. I like Rory.
That stuff is really good, but I feel like that gets muddled the more they stick around with their
the more plot that happens to them. Yeah. Or happens at them.
Just let them be happy. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can kind of, because like with Rory looking around at what he wants out of life, it seems very like a lot of it's like very informed by like society of like, well, no, you have your wedding day, you have your big special wedding day that's like the most important day, and then I become a doctor, and then I stay in this town and I help people, and that's it, right? Like that's all there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And beyond that is horror and death. And wakeless misery without end. Coming up for old Rory.
Yeah. I guess from a certain perspective, I guess you could see the eye stock elderly geriatrics their place in that village dream, that they're sort of representing like the fact that no matter how much he wants this simple village life, this other thing is always going to be a part of Amy's life. And if he wants to be with Amy, he's going to have to deal with it. Maybe. Except that it kills him, which is unfortunate. But
well, kills.
I mean, it does in that dream.
And thus begins the Rory dying.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that sweet, sweet darkness, my friend, because you are about to revisit it over and over and over again.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
For real. We get a Elizabeth I shout out in this.
Oh yeah, I know. Is that like one of the first Russell T jokes that crosses over into the Moffat place, or I don't remember.
The Moffat place.
Maybe. The Moffat place.
Maybe. Yeah. Was it it wasn't from a Moffat episode the first time that came up?
Well,
according to Wikipedia, the running joke began in the Shakespeare Code, which was written by Gareth Roberts.
Oh, okay. So Gareth Roberts then. Oh,
then, of course, we all know Moffat. Moffat was the one that really got to bookend the joke.
That's true. That is true. Good old 50th anniversary.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing.
Yep.
It's going on 5 years.
Sure is. It sure is. Day of the Doctor. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah.
This is there's a rumor apparently in this episode that the Dream Lord is an early form of the Valyard. But this has been left unconfirmed.
I mean, I don't want to get into it because I don't want to spoil it for Nick. But
yeah.
I wouldn't remember. That's years from now.
It's true. All right. Well, I guess that's Amy's choice. That wraps up season 6 of The Long Way Round. Next season, season 7, we'll be starting off the season with the Aztecs.